Alright guys, what is up? Welcome back to Chum Boys Outdoors. Gonna do a little recap on the last tournament that I just fished this past Sunday. Fished with a new buddy I've never fished with before, just kind of knew him through social media, and kind of made a name for himself around here in the Ozarks. Cole Anderson, he won Big Bass Bash back in 2020 and throws a lot of the big KGB swim baits and glide baits and stuff, and catches a lot of big northern strain fish here in the Ozarks. So my normal partner JC couldn't make it, so I hit him up and we ended up fishing this tournament. He had live scope on his boat, and I kind of had a game plan, and that all kind of went out the window once we pulled up into our first spot and we had a ton of shad that were about this big, and then there was a bunch of big, like 6-inch gizzard shad that we seen. I snagged some smaller ones, and Cole actually snagged one of the big ones. So we seen that, and then on the live scope we were seeing a bunch of big fish around too, and they weren't really crashing on the bait or feeding or anything, but they were around. And I figured it was only a matter of time before those fish fired up throughout the day at some point. So I kind of talked to him, and we both agreed that we would sit at that spot pretty much all day long, just waiting for those fish to fire up. And we went all the way back in the cut and caught a couple fish. I only landed one or two, I think one keeper. I think the rest were shorts. They're all like right at 14 and 3/4, like right around there. And then came back out deeper on those fish that were out kind of more towards the mouth of this cut where all the bait was. And tried those fish again, just kept going back and forth, really just waiting for those fish to fire up. And we went back around the docks too, and we were seeing fish around the docks. Obviously a bunch were crappie, but we were throwing A-rigs, and I had the little 3-inch HD swimmer, and throwing jerk baits around, jig, everything at these fish. And Cole, he missed a few good fish. We were watching live scope, and he'd drop it down, roll it right over the top of some brush, or get it down in the brush a little bit. And we seen some big fish hit. Just for some reason we could not hook them. We also had some glide baits tied on, and I grabbed some lead strips and weighted mine and got it down a little bit around the docks where we were seeing these bass following the bait, and had some big fish had a whole like wolf pack of fish following that thing, but they just would not freaking eat it. And I feel like if we'd ran my normal stuff and ran some stuff where I've caught fish that I got history with catching fish in the wintertime, probably would have put a bag together. But like I said, we kind of both agreed that we were going to sit there, and I mean, we had the winning bag of fish all around us. So I mean, we were either going for the win or getting dead last, and ended up not even weighing anything in. But I guess the moral of this story is you can really lose track of time on that live scope, and I feel like we kind of did the right thing, because we could have went somewhere else and not caught any fish, and I've just been thinking about those big fish that we've seen on the live scope all day long. I've been kicking myself thinking, man, we could have won it right there if we'd have just hung out and wait for that bite window to open up. Towards the end of the day, I did hook a really good fish on the HD swimmer. Seen him on the live scope. He was up pretty high in the water column, so through the HD swimmer I dropped it right on his head, and as soon as I started cranking, he freaking smoked it.
Big fish. Big fish. Hey. Oh my.
Did you lose it?
Yeah. Giant.
Leaned into him, and he just pulled off. He could have inhaled it, and I just skin hooked the inside of the top of his mouth or something, I don't know, but ended up losing that one. Cole had some hit literally right at the boat. We had big fish following every couple casts, I mean, it just, we for sure thought it was going to happen. But I guess, I mean, I say we should have, but I guess we should have just ran shallow through the jerk bait. So, I mean, that's what everybody else did pretty much. I think that weighed in a lot of the bags that I talked to were throwing jerk baits. One guy I talked to, he was throwing mag drafts up shallow, and he caught some good fish too. So these fish were definitely pulling up. But it was a little bit of a cold snap there after a bunch of warm days, so we thought those fish out there deep on those bait were going to fire up at some point, and they just did not fire up. But Don't have a ton of footage. Showed you guys some clips there as I was talking of the fish that we caught and the close calls we had and stuff. But yeah, just kind of wanted to recap that last video. I haven't posted anything in a while. I've had some crappy conditions. River's flooded a little bit. It's flooded really bad right now. So that's keeping me off the river. And the fish were just acting super weird. You'd think in the wintertime, if you have a couple super warm days and that water temperature starts flying up, you think those fish would be like, all right, it's time for pre-spawn. But they have that internal clock, you know, where the days start getting longer. They know even if the water temperature ain't flying up, getting them ready for the spawn, they're still going to be wanting to pull up once those days start getting longer. I think that super warm weather for those river fish, I mean, just like a huge cold snap, a huge warm up, I mean, it'll shock them just the same as the cold snap does. Now you will get some fish moving up and stuff, but I think it had a more shock than anything, because I felt like I was still around fish on the river and on the lake, obviously, and they just weren't acting right. The Toyota Series, they fished those warm days, and I mean, it wasn't like a slugfest. There were some big bags weighed in them. Of course, they're on Lake of the Ozarks. There's going to be some big bags weighed, but I think a lot of them, those fish were just kind of had a little bit of a lockjaw on them. They just weren't really feeding up too good. But got another tournament coming up this weekend, guys, so hopefully it's a little better. I'm going to be dealing with a big cold front coming through, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, just wanted to hop on here and kind of recap this video and tell you guys why I haven't posted anything in a while. Just I've been striking out. So hopefully I have paid my dues to the fishing gods, and I will get rewarded these next few times I go out. Hopefully be getting out real soon on some pre-spawn river fish and on some lake fish here soon. So yeah, hopefully from here on out I will have at least a video a week, if not 2 videos a week to post for you guys, and keep you guys updated on what the fish are biting on, and might just hop on here and do a little fishing report, tell you guys what I'm catching them on, show you what I'm catching them on and how I'm catching them, where they're at, kind of try to follow the fish back as they move back to those spawning pockets, and kind of just give you guys a little bit of insight on where you can start looking for these fish at next time you go out. So another thing that might have hurt us a little bit was that Toyota Series went on, and all those guys were throwing A-rigs in that tournament, just like we were trying to do in our tournament. So those fish have been seeing A-rigs for the last week straight, so that definitely didn't help anything. They dropped the lake all the way down to winter pool like a few days before, and then they actually dropped it like 2 feet overnight. And then I think it was actually a little bit below winter pool. I mean, the lake's pretty dang low right now, so that ripped a lot of current through the lake and cooled it down a lot more. So a lot of things going against us, but we, you know, like I said, pulled up on that spot, seen those big fish, decided to sit there all day long. Didn't even, I mean, we went and tried another spot after that and struck out too. So they ended up calling it quits a little early, but you know, I mean, that was the decision we made. Figured we'd risk it all, sit on those big fish, and had they fired up, I hooked into that one big one and thought that was going to be it. Right before I hooked into that big one, Cole actually missed 2 really good fish out of brush right real close to where we were. So it seemed like those fish kind of fired up for about 30 minutes there, and we just didn't capitalize on the bites that we had. But I mean, those 3 fish could have been 5-6 pounders. They were definitely really big fish, and you know, that would have gave us 18 pound, and we could have ended up with a 18 to 20 pound sack there for 4 fish. I had one like 2.5 pounder in the live well at the time, and we could have ended up getting a really nice check there. But that's just the way it goes, guys. So yeah, just wanted to tell you what happened in that last tournament, really. But that's all I got for you guys today. Hopefully you learned a little bit of something from this. I really don't know where I was going with this video, but I was just going to jump on here and tell you guys a little bit about how our tournament looked, like I said. So yeah, rough one. So hopefully from here on out, guys, I am nailing a lot of big fish for you guys. But thank you all for watching. If you guys enjoyed this little recap of our tournament, go ahead and hit that like down below. Don't forget to subscribe, guys. A lot of videos coming soon, and I will see you in the next one.